Greetings, and thank you so much for joining me. This is the start of our 2024 season of education. We're going to cover a lot this year. If you haven't figured it out, we tend to start our classes at the end of winter, the start of summer. This is kind of because that's our family tradition. That's just the way we do things. This year, we've got a couple of really great things planned. We're going to cover every other week, we're going to cover one of the primal forces that the runes, the Scandinavian Norse runes, represent. And the reason we're covering that is because everybody could have a connection to these primal forces, these esoteric things that help us in our everyday life or are part of our everyday life. So it would make sense, regardless of your ancestry, that you build a relationship with these forces, not necessarily the runes, but the forces themselves. And our family heritage and tradition, it just makes sense to use the runes. The second thing we're going to cover this year, you guys have been asking for quite some time. We finally got enough information together to give it to you, and that's Baneful Magic. That will be on the opposite weeks of the primal forces associated with runes. So that's our big thing this year. We'll spend the next 12 months, starting probably in March, just 2 weeks away. And we'll start doing these, and they'll be awesome. You'll love them. Okay. Today, so that's the highlight of what we're doing. Today, I actually want to talk to you about the past and put it in a level of relativity so that what we talk about this year might make a little more sense, and it might help you on some other thing going on in your life, right? So we live in the now. We look to the future, which is unknown and mostly unwritten, but we look to the past for knowledge and wisdom. And in older traditions, we look to the past as guidelines as to who and how we should behave in the now. But a lot of people who do that misunderstand what the past is, or at least they present themselves in a way that makes it look like they misunderstand. So I've got this huge book, right? So let's say our world, past and present, is represented by this big old tome, right? And I've limited space, so I'll try to make it work for you, right? But we'll say that this tome is our journey, the world as we know it, okay? And so, because the future is unwritten, this very last page here, if I can get to it, there we go, I got it. This very last page represents the now, right? But the past is represented by this page. A different past, a different part of the past is represented by this page. And a different part of the past is represented by this page. Just so you're aware, this is a 1,100-page book, right? It's a bit of a tome. But all of that past is stacked on top of our present. So, that's a lot of information being represented by individual places in time. And why is this important? Well, I see a lot of individuals and a lot of groups talk about they're trying to recreate something from the past. But they never define what page they're on. If life of all of mankind's history is all these pages, and I'm going to say I live in the past, or I'm recreating, or I'm reconstructing the past, which page? Am I reconstructing yesterday? Because that's the past. Or am I reconstructing the first day? Because that's also the past. Or have I turned the book to a specific page, and now I'm living or I'm trying to recreate or reconstruct that page, right? There would be some past I'm ignoring that happened before it, and there'd be some past I'm ignoring that happened after it, right? So I have to be specific. Otherwise, people who are aware of a larger, broader understanding of our past might become confused or challenge what I'm saying or what I'm practicing because I haven't been clear about what page I'm on. Okay? A good example of this might be those who are trying to recreate the Viking era, which has specific pages around 700 AD to around 1100 AD. That's it. 700 to 1100, roughly. Well, the world's got thousands of years before the 700, and it's got a couple of thousand years, or 1,000 years, not a couple, after the 1100, right? So I might use something from an older place or from a younger place. I might suggest somebody look at something from an older place or from a younger place. But I wouldn't do that if someone came to me and said, I'm a reconstructionist and I'm trying to recreate a Viking village that existed between the 700s and the 1100s. But I would also challenge them that that's a pretty big span. I'm 52 years old, and I'll tell you right now, the world is not the world I lived in 25 years ago. Not even close. The things that I thought about 25 years ago, the things that I thought might happen in the future 25 years ago, the things that I believed would happen, the things that I believed in, none of that exists today. None of it. It's all changed. It's all something different. It might be similar, like we might have used the Greco-Roman English alphabet that's been being used for 2,000 years. But it's changed. There's new words. There's new spellings. There's new ideas. So 25 years, complete different world, and you want to say that you're reconstructing a village between the 700s and the 1100s? That's a big span. Huge. I might, if I'm working with you, ask you to narrow that down just a little bit. Because the Norse people, the Germanic people, the Scandinavian people, the Finnish, the Swedish, the Icelandic, grew and changed in that span so much that they went from a pagan society to a Christian society. And it didn't happen overnight, 700 to 1100. So odds are some people, some villages were in different places along that road. And this is important because history is huge amount of information. And if we stay broad and we paint with big, giant paintbrushes, we'll get the job done quickly, but it's not going to be original or unique, probably not even pretty. It's probably just going to be one color, and it's just going to cover whatever's underneath, kind of like painting a house. So keep this in mind in your practice, both as a person and in your spiritual journey. Be aware what it is you're trying to articulate in a manner that makes it possible for everyone to understand where you as an individual is coming from. Hope you have a great week. Walk with the ancestors, and good night.